Good afternoon. My name is Christina, and I will be presenting the Culturally Responsive Library. This semester, I looked at 57 different books between two classrooms. 32 of these books came from my placement classroom, and 25 of the books came from the other 1-year-old classroom. The demographics of the classroom I was placed in were 4 girls and 3 boys, 1 set of twins, 3 bilingual children, 2 of which spoke Hebrew and 1 speaks Portuguese. 5 children live in suburban areas and 2 live in urban areas, and 4 of the children come from religious families, 2 are Jewish and the other 2 are Christian. Now moving on to the book demographics. Of the 57 books I looked at, only 11 of them contained humans, and of these 11 with humans, there was 1 male main character, 3 female main characters, and 1 book had a female and male as equals. The book is called Daddy and Me as the main characters. Other than those few books that contained main characters that were distinguishable, the other books had characters, but none of them were definitely main characters. As you can see from this slide, most of them were animals. More male characters were represented in the books, and there were some female characters as well. Every race was represented, but the only race represented as main characters were white. But again, most of these books contained non-humans. The settings of these books were very spread out. 19 of the books took place in a rural setting, 5 took place in an urban setting, 4 took place in fantasy lands, and 9 took place in suburban areas. On this slide, you will see 3 different examples of books. The top left shows how some of these books contain characters of all races. The top right shows a book about a fish, and the bottom book shows an example of an animal walking around a town. Some interesting findings I found while going through these books were that the classroom has 3 bilingual students, but only 1 bilingual book, which was a Spanish book, a language not represented in the classroom. Only 3 of the 57 books were nursery rhymes, which to me was weird considering they are 1-year-olds and should be learning rhymes and patterns and singing and catchy little songs to learn. And there were no super definitive main characters in most of the books. They were all just animals with equal parts moving along throughout their days. Some of the book recommendations I have are to include more books with race, LGBTQIA+, and a book about connections rather than differences. For race, I chose Last Stop on Marketplace, which is a book about a boy who travels by bus with his grandma who teaches him to be grateful rather than complain about everything. Thunderboy Jr. is a book about a Native American, and it is in present day. And then Poncho Rabbit Jr. is a book about hardships while migrating north after their cornfield dries up. For LGBTQIA+, I found the books Who Are You? A Kid's Guide to Gender Identity, and it sends the message that gender norms shouldn't dictate how you express yourself because you know yourself the best, and Prince and Knight, which is about a prince who is saved by a knight and they get married and live happily ever after. And then the last book I would want to place in my classroom is The Day You Begin, which is about a socioeconomic status and finding connections among classrooms rather than your differences. And these were the 2 websites that I found these book examples on. Thank you.